All right, Simon. I mean, we get the drift of this, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
Apparently, for years they've been trying to get this on, and only now have they managed it. But having said that, at least it's happening.
Maybe.
But is it a failure, do you think, on the sport, that the fight is coming too many years too late?
No, I think it was a difficult fight to make because there wasn't many reasons for that fight to be made. In terms of their careers were going off in different directions at different times. And there's a lot between these two fighters and a lot of reasons that exist. Khan is a superstar in many people's eyes and Kell Brook is not.
Is he still a superstar?
Not so much now, and I think the moment he went in the jungle, for me, his serious fighting days were behind him. But as far as star quality is concerned, he has the star quality. He has the juice, Amir Khan. Whichever way you look at it, he's a kind of fighter that's so easy on the eye, so compelling to watch. I was talking to Gareth Davis yesterday about the fight against Devon Alexander, and it was one of the best fights you could see from pure pugilistic enjoyment because his hand speed is so phenomenal.
Yeah.
Whereas Kell Brook is a bit more earthy and a bit more ethereal and hasn't probably got the respect that he deserves, because when he went and won his world title in America, took it from Sean Porter, he kind of got a limited amount of press exposure, and I think there's been this frustration over the years from Kell Brook, who's, I'm a real fighting man and you're a little bit of flash for cash. Now, if you look at their records and look at who they fought, it's difficult to argue that Khan hasn't fought at the highest level because he's fought Barrera, he's fought Pali Malignaggi when Pali Malignaggi was in his pomp, he fought Zab Judah, Lamont Peterson, Danny Garcia. You know, he's fought a real range of fighters, and I'm not sure that Kell has been able to make some of the fights that perhaps his talent has deserved. So if you look at the reason why there's this vitriol there, I think it's seeded in a little bit of envy from Kell Brook, which is why you got your chinny, you get knocked down, you get knocked out, you can't take a punch. You know, the only fight that he's really had a war in was Marcus Medina when Amir Khan came through that war. So I think all of those things breed this sort of attitude. Whatever their motivation is for getting in the ring now is irrelevant, as long as we get a good fight. Because he's trying to make the motivation is that he's skint or he's got a high lifestyle, right? And he needs to keep on funding that lifestyle.
Like Khan's skint.
Yeah, and no doubt Kell Brooks' motivation is at least I'll come out of this with a legacy of I may not have got what I should have got, and I may not have got the fights when I should have got all the recognition. But I beat you.
Yeah.
Right? So whatever their motivations are, brings us to an intriguing situation where neither one of these fighters are going to want to be on the receiving end of a defeat. Both of them are diminished. Both of them are not what they once were. But if they've diminished in equal measure, as long as there's enough quality, then you're still going to see a very compelling fight.
Even contest.
My view, if Khan is on it, I think he's going to be too quick for Kell Brook.
Right.
And I think the damage it's done to Kell Brook with Terence Crawford and Gennady Golovkin, I don't think you can reverse that with Kell.
I was at that fight when Brook lost to Golovkin. Mind you,
he should never have taken that
night?
Fight. They took that fight because they couldn't sell him somewhere else.
Yeah.
They couldn't sell him somewhere else.
I tell you what though, Simon, Martin, one of many boxing fans getting in touch. Listen, guys, it's simple. If people are entertaining people like Jake Paul in the sport of boxing, there is nothing wrong with Khan versus Brook. End of.
Exactly that. I would pay far more easily to watch Kell Brook versus Amir Khan than I would ever pay to watch that tripe. I think Tommy Fury fighting Jake Paul does a disservice to the Fury name.
Well, let's put that out there actually, Simon. What would you pay more money to see? Tommy Fury against Jake Paul, or the big one that's coming up, the big one I say, but it's coming up on the 19th of February, Kell Brook against Amir Khan? It's a simple question because Martin's started the discussion, and Martin, thank you for that. If people are entertaining people like Jake Paul in the sport of boxing, says Martin, there's absolutely nothing wrong with Khan versus Brook. So what would you pay more to see? Would you go to Khan versus Brook and not to Tommy Fury against Jake Paul? Let us know on that. Give us a shout on that one. We put it out earlier on, Simon. We were talking about this fight that's coming our way in February. Amir Khan against Kell Brook. That is, in Manchester on the 19th of February. Would you rather watch that, or would you rather watch Jake Paul against Tommy Fury? Of course, Jake Paul, YouTuber, against Tommy Fury. a reality show star, of course, in the eyes of many. And that one is billed for December in Vegas. So many people getting in touch. Charles Smith being one of them. I most definitely prefer the Brook Khan fight. Fury, by taking the Paul fight, shows me that he doesn't think he can cope with the heavyweight stars. And if Paul lasts more than 2 rounds, then he'll have lost a lot of kudos as a boxer. Many people are saying, no, it's a toss-up, really. Mark Sterney is saying, I would definitely pay more to watch Khan against Brook than anything featuring Paul or his brother, because it doesn't say much about the sport of boxing. Matt Bromyard, I would watch both, although a lot of people think that Fury against Paul, the fight is a joke, and that it is no good for boxing. I actually think it is pretty good for boxing. It will get an audience. Many people getting in touch this lunchtime. One of them is Leo. Leo's a fight fan. Leo, good afternoon.
Hi, fellas. It's Leon, not Leo.
Let me put an N on Leo. Leon, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm good, fellas. Yourselves?
Very good, thank you, mate. So, what one would you go for? One more than the other? Who would you watch?
I'm leaning towards the Fury fight, just based off the fact that, you know, if this was a fight in England, we're asking for we're always asking for unbeaten prospects to fight each other. You know, we're shop warring, we're doing the same dance of journeyman fighting, and so on and so on. Here we've got two young lads, both unbeaten. Doesn't matter that they were on telly doing whatever. Curtis Woodhouse was a footballer, and he went on and got a British title.
Yeah,
These 2 lads were unbeaten, and let's give them a chance. I think there's a lot of distaste for it simply because they're celebrities, but you know they deserve the chance, and the prize fight is fighting for a great prize, money. You know.
Well, it's really only about money, Leon, in this instance, is it? But could you argue that it's only really about money for Brook Khan, or is there a score to be settled there?
Oh, it's 100% money with Khan and Brook. If it wasn't, they'd have done it 10 years ago when they were ready for titles.
Yeah, but there's a score to be settled there, though, Leon. You could argue.
Not really. I think if there were a score to be settled, it would have been done. You know, there's a lot of things that can prevent a fight from happening. But here, neither fella wanted it, and now there's no other options on the table.
Oh, I think Kell Brook's wanted it for a long, long time, hasn't he? I think he, of the two, probably has the more genuine desire for the fight, because he's always watched Khan breaking America, having big fights in America, getting paid enormous sponsorship and recognisability deals, where he's looked slightly... I know he's fought Errol Spence, I know he's fought Gennady Golovkin,
yeah,
but you've got Khan over there in big fights in America repeatedly, whether it's Danny Garcia or Lamont Peterson or Colosso or whoever else he's fought, Colosso, and Kell Brook hasn't had those days. So I think there's a genuine motivation here. But Jake Paul and Floyd Mayweather and crap like that.
I mean, people have rumbled it, Leon. I mean, even Conor McGregor against Mayweather was a farce.
Yeah, but if you're asking it from a fight fan's point of view, if you're saying 2 unbeaten lads, regardless of the background, 2 unbeaten lads on a small hole show. If this were in England, on a small hole show, a lad at 7-0 and a lad at 4-0, people would be watching it. You know, boxing fans would be more interested in that, in my opinion.
Leon, listen, thanks for the call, mate. Yeah, it is what it is. Fair play to you. Quite a number of people are saying, Simon, I'd watch Khan Brook, but I don't think it should be on pay-per-view. The profile and the ability of the two fighters at this stage in their careers should not be put on pay-per-view. Maybe. And I think, a lot of people are saying that. I'm looking at more and more messages coming in. If they were in their prime, Simon, when it's alleged that we all wanted this fight, then maybe yes. Maybe. But now...
Yeah, I mean, I can understand that argument. But if you can put a YouTuber on pay-per-view, if you can put historic great fighters like Mike Tyson fighting that charade against Roy Jones Jr. on pay-per-view, and I know the legacy of Tyson will always attract the lure of people's eyes. Yeah, I still think there's a real fight here between. I don't think it's choreographed. I don't think it's dialed in. I don't think they're absolutely busted fighters. I still think there's a good fight here for us to watch. Now, whether that's pay-per-view probably makes the fight happen because of the finances. Sure. Because they're not fighting for anything. They're not fighting for a world title, are they? And I'm not entirely sure where Gareth couldn't say it yesterday, Gareth Davis, where does this fight lead either one of them? Yeah. It doesn't lead them to a world title fight anywhere else, is it? But I mean, Amir Khan was saying in his interview to James Savundra he could fight for another few years yet. Yeah. But when I hear you say you would probably go to it. I mean, yeah, because I've always liked Amir Khan as a fighter. Yeah. And I think just the nature of this fight with Kell Brook's desire sort of vanquish Amir Khan and to rub him out in terms of legacy and suggest that ultimately you ducked me when you were in your prime. You know, I didn't perhaps get the attention that I should have got for the fights that I've had. I didn't get the paydays that you possibly have got. I didn't get the recognition that you got because your style is flashy and, you know, you're easier on the eye fighter. And now I'm going to create that legacy.
Sure.
But I don't think Amir Khan, come on, he's had one fight in 2.5 years. He's been in the jungle. You know, he's not...
His reputation's diminished, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Scott Dawson's one of many of this lunchtime saying, on one hand, I'd watch Kell Brook. On the other hand, I wouldn't. A lot of them are split. Leon, he says, was bang on. Kell Brook, 10 years too late. This is why UFC is taking over, because the best fight the best. Having said that, I will still watch Can against Brook, but it's long overdue. As we head to the break, Simon, Pete in Manchester, you've nailed it, mate. Forget all those fights that you're mentioning. There's only one for him. Bring on Roy Keane against Jamie Carragher. Yeah, I'd pay money to watch that. Pete, I don't think you're wrong in that. Let's hope it doesn't come to that, but I don't think you're wrong.
Jim White and Simon Jordan, Monday to Thursday morning, 10 till 1. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.